Hi everyone. So this video is intended to give you instruction on how to use the MyFitnessPal app that we are going to use for the fast rate of fat loss. So the first step is going to be to download the app. And it's going to have like a little, it's going to be blue, like a little person, I don't know if you can see it, dancing with a little Under Armour sign on it. And so we are going to download the app. And once it's up, mine on the bottom right corner, there is a spot where it says more with 3 little dots. And so we're going to select that. Excuse me. And so then about 3 down, it's going to say goals. And so we're going to select where it says goals. And we're going to put in our current weight, our goal weight, and our weekly goal. And so your weekly goal, well, starting with weight, we're gonna jump on the scale now, and then we're not gonna weigh ourselves anymore. Weight loss isn't what we want to focus on. We're gonna focus on fat loss, and so go ahead and hop on the scale now so you can input your starting weight. And like I said, we're not gonna do it anymore. So enter that in, and then for a weekly goal, we are gonna enter in either 1/2 pound or 1 pound. There's no need to do any more than that. And so go ahead and set it there. We don't want to be too aggressive with it. And so we want to make sure that it's going to allow us enough food to fuel our bodies. So 1/2 pound or 1 pound. And then for activity level, you're going to set that at active. And so for most of us, active is going to be right where we need to be. We are going to be working out on the program. The only exception to this is going to be if you are in a job where you're on your feet all the time. So like maybe a nurse, if you're up and moving constantly, then you can set it to extremely active, but active for most of us should be just fine and where we need to be. So we are going to do that. So then we're going to scroll down to under nutrition goals. It's going to say calorie, carbs, proteins, and fat goals. So that's going to be our calorie and then our macro goals. So we're going to select that. And then it's going to bring you, should look like that. So it's going to have the calorie number first. And so as you can see, it's going to have your carbs at 50%, fat at 30, and protein at 20. This is going to be where most people are going to need to be at. That's where mine is set at. Really, the only thing that would need to change is if somebody is used to doing a low carb, high protein diet, and then we can kind of look at adjusting it just slightly. But across the board, everybody should be good at 50% carbs, 30% fat, and 20% protein. So as you see, it's going to calculate your grams, your daily grams, and the categories for you. So calories, be mindful of this number. Again, we don't count calories, we don't focus on this, but some days, like lower carb days, you are going to want to make sure that you are hitting your calorie goals, not going too far over it. And we definitely don't want to be under our calories because, like I said, we want to make sure that we're getting enough fuel for our body. But you don't want to look at that. Sometimes it can say that you're hitting for the day the 50%, 20%, and 30%, but you may not be getting enough. So the pie chart we're going to see in a second will look right and proportionate, but you're really not getting enough food. So this is going to be where we are. And so then we are going to back out of that. If we go back and we go down to the bottom, it's going to say diary. And so I've already entered some stuff in for the day. So bottom of the screen, we're going to see down here it says diary to the left of the little plus sign. We're going to select that. And this is where we are going to be entering in our food daily. And so it's going to say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some people put in breakfast for like the first meal that they eat of the day. I just kind of go to lunch and enter it in under lunch and then dinner. And so this is where you're gonna add food. So if you add food, select add food, and you're gonna be able to search for any food. So say I ate a banana today. So I'm going to type in banana in the search, and it's going to pull up banana. And I'm just going to select that. It's medium, so sure. So it's going to have 27 carbs, 0 grams of protein. So I'm going to enter that in, and so then it's going to put it under, I'll put it under the lunch section. So it's going to have us log that banana. And then if we scroll down to this tab right here, it's going to say nutrition, and it's going to have a little pie chart next to it. Select that. And so then this is going to be the screen where it's going to show us our nutrition. It's going to have the total amount that we've eaten for the day. We are going to be focusing on proteins, carbs, and fats. And so for our protein, the banana didn't have any protein, so I don't have any there. Carbs, it has 27 grams of carbs, so it's going to tell you how many's in there, what your goal is for the day. So mine is 209 grams of carbs is my goal. I've eaten 27, then it tells me what I have left, 182 grams of carbs left. So it's going to do all the calculating for us. It's awesome. We just enter the food in, it's going to keep up with it for us, and it's just going to automatically take out whatever foods we are eating for the day. So that's awesome. If we go over here to the right of nutrients, it's going to say macros, and this is going to give us our pie chart. So if I was to go back in and enter in a food, let me just say peppers. Okay, so I probably wasn't a great example. So the pie chart is going to have it color coded where protein is going to be green, the fat's going to be red, and then carbs are going to be blue. And so this is going to be our pie chart. This is another thing that we're going to be looking at daily. And so we're going to be looking at the micro or the macros tab and the nutrients tab every day to tell us if we're eating enough of the foods that we need to be eating and if our proportions are right. So every day your protein or your macros pie chart should be 50% red, so it's going to be 50% blue, because most days on regular macro days it's going to be 50% carbs and our 30% fat, 20% protein. So on our macro days, so low and regular macro days, we're going to want our pie charts to look like this. The only exception to this is going to be our low carb days, and that is going to be mostly red. It's going to be like 60% red, because we are going to be fueling our bodies with healthy or fit fats on those days. And so protein will stay consistent during most of the week, during the whole week, but the fats will change on our low carb days. So just kind of play around with that, entering things in. One thing that I do love about this is, so if I'm going to go in and add dinner, up here on the top right, it's going to have the little barcode. If you select that barcode, it's going to bring up a camera, and it's going to let you select, take a picture of any barcode. So this is probably the biggest thing that I use on this. Instead of typing it in and trying to find out exactly what it is, everything you buy at the grocery store has that barcode on it. Scan it with this, it'll pull it up, and then you can say how much of everything you ate. If it was one serving, you put in one serving and it calculates it for you. So that's really a lifesaver. I use it all the time. It'll remember foods that you eat, and so I usually eat a lot of the same foods, and so I just kind of type it in and it'll bring it back up, and I just select it. And so it's easy to use that way. You can add your water in here if you want to. I don't track my water. I usually try and drink half of my body weight in ounces of water every day, but I just kind of keep track of that mentally. I don't really add it in here. And you also don't need to track your exercise. So since we are not counting calories, that's not what we're doing with this, you don't need to add an exercise. So don't worry about doing that. One thing that I do with this is I plan ahead, and so whether it's the night before or the day before, I go ahead and think about what I'm going to eat. I plug it in. If I make my lunch, I go ahead and I plug it in the night before, and then dinner, just kind of plan around that. And so if I'm going out to eat, I don't know, I'm going out to eat with people, I go ahead and log in, look at the menu ahead of time if I can, and I log that in there. And so then that way, the rest of the day, I know what I can eat throughout the day. Same with leg day. Saturdays are a treat day. If I know what I'm going to have for that treat, I plug it in and then I go from there. And so it's really a great tool. It's easy. The free version is just fine. That is what I use. You don't need anything for the premium version. Everything is good to go with it that way. So that's the wonderful thing about this program, is that it works. You just kind of plug it in and you go on about your day. So I hope this answers any questions anybody has. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. Let me know. That's why I'm here. I'm happy to answer any questions.